Hello, folks. Welcome back. Thank you for that small break. So we got a bit of a breather. We're going into TLO versus GunGFuBanDa. Coming up next, as said, it's a rematch. It's a best of 3. And I am quite curious who takes this one. On one hand, we did have TLO floor GunGFuBanDa with that 2-0 the first time. But admittedly, GunGFuBanDa was doing weird shit like cannon rushes. On the other hand, there's like the whole rematch bracket curse thing, which we always bring up because there is some actual consideration with that. However, I feel strongly that this will not be a match so easily determined by gimmicks.
I really want to see a GunGFu like, okay, so if he goes for 2 more cannon rushes, it's gonna be 4 cannon rushes in a row against TLO. That would be fun.
Oh, I got this. Are you ready for this puntastic response to that?
Okay.
Excuse me. Has that ever been done before?
Cannon rushing? Yes. See, I countered your joke with the real answer, and I ruined it.
You're like a fire extinguisher. You're like a female praying mantis.
I'm like a
and
fun sucker.
My joke. Rather be a goat sucker than a fun sucker.
Oh, your bird is so funny.
What was it called again? The something jar. Nightjar. Yeah. A night jay actually would sound so much cooler.
It just looks so, it looks like it's doing the oh man, what is like, what meme was that when it's like really dumb little like chuckle? It's like a bird, right? It's an animal. And it's
like instead of the lizard doing the
yeah, like it, but instead there was like a video and it made the kind of sound.
One of my favorite, I think, underappreciated memes are birds with arms.
Oh, I hated that.
Those are some of the greatest things.
I didn't think it was that great. Oh god.
Well, I'm not sure what we're waiting on. I guess GunGFuBanDa went to the bathroom real quick, so.
Yep.
So speaking of being a fun sucker, I don't actually know. When the female praying mantis eats the head of the male praying mantis after sex, do they actually eat anything else? Like, do they suck out their guts or anything? Is it just like you eat the head and that's it?
It's domination. It's not food, you know.
Is it though?
if you ate the body,
I feel like
cannibalism. That's weird, man.
No, I feel like, okay. So hang on, let's back that up for a second, because I think domination is like, if you're unless someone else is watching and they're like understanding the dominance, you're not really dominating the person. You're killing them. They're learning nothing. They're not being dominated.
Nah, man,
like they can't serve you as a subservient person or thing.
The woman praying mantis club after, and you're like, yeah, I totally tore his head off. I showed that bitch. What up?
The woman praying mantis club? Like, this is the fucking nightclub they meet up later and they got there. So when they say they're gonna put their face on, like
oh god.
I didn't think praying mantises would have so many excellently weird scenarios attached to them, but today I learned otherwise.
They're full of wonder and excitement.
And other males' heads, apparently. So, Kings of the North comes up this weekend. You're going. I know that you're not casting. You're going to just kind of mostly chill. But if they offer you to cast, you gonna hop on that their casting wagon, or are you gonna be like, no, I'm here to just have fun?
I'll probably cast because it'll probably be really chill. Maybe I'll get like Scarlet to come on with me. Be like, repeat home story cup.
Please grab.
Yes.
Excuse me. Again, it's that marijuana I had a month ago still. I was just gonna get her for anything with a Terran in it, and I think that would be an excellent cast. Specifically a TvZ, and I think the audience will enjoy it.
I can try and convince her. Of course, she's playing in the open bracket, so she might not be totally free.
She also Scarlet might just be like a little bit of a praying mantis when it comes to fighting against Terran too, right? Like,
wow. She has, I mean,
it's just savage, absolutely savage.
Because the thing about praying mantis is that they have to have sex with them first. So you'd be like, she's like the Highlander, where she like cuts the Terrans' heads off and like takes their power.
I guess that would be a little more appropriate. I guess that would be more appropriate. Although Excuse me. Well, in Germany, your toilets are so deep. Like, probably? We've had this discussion with several of our German friends about German toilets being really weird and the water's really low and the thing's really high. So the toilets are just deep.
I understand their explanation, right? The no splashback thing, right?
It's no splashback and they're trying to conserve water, I think, were the two big points.
Okay. But we all, like, everyone realizes nowadays, because it's, like, all over, like, you know, Facebook and social media, that the best way to poop is by squatting.
Squatty potty!
So Germans really just aren't, they're, like, the opposite, right? And they really need to fix that. I thought they were supposed to be good at everything. Smart at everything. I mean, they always brag about not having AC, like they care about the environment or some shit.
To explain, guys, like, the height of, like, the German toilets we experienced, at least, when we went to Homestar Cup, when I sit in a toilet normally, like, my legs are usually, my knees are up a bit, right? Like, it's not even and flat to where I'm sitting. In Germany, my knees were down. Like, my legs weren't off the ground or anything, but my knees were down. Like, I had to actually, yeah, sit in a bit of a strange position. I'm like, okay, German toilets, go ahead and calm down there.
Yeah. Oh, I want to talk about stuff, but I can't, so never mind. Anyway, we're starting a best of 3. So amazing bathroom talk aside. Amazing. Truly amazing. Here we are on New Gettysburg.
Yeah, sorry, let me just get that lung cancer out real quick. I don't know what's going on because it doesn't feel like I'm getting any better. And it's really frustrating, guys. So sorry about the coughs. We are getting into game number 1. Brand new best of 3. It's the losers bracket finals. The winner of this moves on to the qualifying match against Hero Marine. One of these two has to actually beat the other first to get there. Spawning in the bottom left, not putting your forger down first. I give you GunGFuBanDa.
Amazing.
Just put like emphasis on that gateway for a second.
In the bottom right, as the Red Zerg, he is Liquid TLO.
By the way, I really don't think there's anything wrong with the idea of him trying to cannon rush. I don't think there's actually a lot of things to fault there when you know that there's like the potential for it to work in previous games. So again, GunGFuBanDa tried to cannon rush TLO 2 different times, lost in the winner's bracket, felt bad, man. Now that we're in the losers, there's a little bit more, I think, seriousness to it. And while cannon rushes could still potentially work, I like the idea that he plays a more regular game instead.
Mm-hmm. It really was interesting to go twice, you know, with the cannon rush. But I guess it is one of those things where it could have worked. But I want to see a macro game. I want to see him take on TLO in a different series, in a different way, on a different day as well, and see if he can take it back. TLO had amazing reaction to the early game shenanigans too, so it's like an extra reason not to do it for a 3rd and 4th time, as it technically would be. And he didn't look entirely amazing, to be honest, in the other ZVPs that we saw. So if GunGFu was watching that or anything, I would actually like. I think he should feel better about the macro game.
By the way, I would like to just address this in chat because people think it's a joke. Last month, I downloaded 2 whole marijuanas and injected one of them, and I've been sick ever since. This is not a joke, guys. It's real serious. You got to be careful. When you see like the anti-drug campaigns and the fact that the U.S. classifies marijuana as such a deadly drug, now you understand why. Please don't make the mistake I did. Please don't download marijuana. My problem is I don't know what to do with the other one that I have left over.
The other downloaded marijuana?
Yeah, because I could inject it, right, and use it. You know, I'm already sick from the first one, whatever. Or...
could you zip it and send it?
Like in a Ziploc baggie?
I don't know, like a zip file.
Is that how files get sealed in? Oh, is that why it's a zip file?
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind right now, Zombie Girl.
Am I really? I really hope I'm not. You heard this before. That's why it has the little like zipper on the end of the folder icon.
Wait, back the fuck up. I was trolling before. Is this like a real thing?
Yes.
I need to like. Okay, actually, I don't use it. Hang on, I use RAR files. I gotta find a RAR file I've got.
Okay, all right, yeah.
See, it's a stack. See, it's a stack of books with a belt
icon.
around it. So
when you like seven zip something, it's like a little zipper.
What is this, Final Fantasy? Is this Cloud's outfit or something? It's too many zippers. Trash talking German toilets only happens on BaseTradeTV. Yes, Marcos, that's the benefit you get for the lack of build order analysis. Instead, we discuss instead of the depth of the players' builds, we discuss the depth of the toilets. And in Germany, there's just too much to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all's bathrooms are weird in general.
I will say, I still am not a fan of the American ones where you have all these urinals that don't have like even dividers between them. I really don't like when I was at PAX, I hated the bathrooms there. All the urinals are like right next to each other. It's like, hey, we could fit one extra urinal in if we take away everyone's comfort levels.
I don't
Great.
understand.
Now one more person can pee uncomfortably.
Or I do understand, I cannot sympathize.
Yeah, see, you get stalls. Imagine they took the walls away from all the toilets in the women's bathroom and they just put like an extra toilet in there.
Because I always thought it was weird that urinals didn't have stalls, right? Like, or dividers. So the fact that they're like closer together without dividers is like, okay, so I guess they're closer together. But like, in general, the concept of having your wing wang out for everyone to see.
Your wing wang! Not just your wang! Your wing wang! Alright. So some fairly important stuff happening, by the way. I did not realize this was actually a double Stargate. That's fine on its own, but the fact that he's investing +1 weapons, GunGFuBanDa is playing very similar to another great German Protoss we know, Showtime, who actually emphasized a lot of air on this map. But unfortunately, and I think Kneebeam tried it too in the Kespa Cup qualifiers, but every time we've seen Protoss emphasize air on this map, it looks appealing, and they take air control, then they take the island bases, and there's all these pros that should make it such a good thing, and then it just isn't. And Corruptors and Queens and Infestors and Ravagers, just anti-air gets absolutely trounced.
Right, yeah. I'm like... It's kind of funny to see GunGFu really just take what we usually assign to Showtime after Showtime just won this qualifier and did beat TLO in doing so, although not with this build specifically. But it's fun. It's interesting. You take the island base, you continue going into air. TLO doesn't recognize what it is. I mean, he recognizes it's Mass Phoenix, but there can be a point where Protoss will switch over into Gateway and Robos. I think the lack of a third still is what's so suspicious, and that there are so many Phoenix. It's like a little above and beyond what you could see with the double Stargate, that he knows it's that type of Protoss. So Corruptors aren't a bad start, but you do need a lot of them to take on however many. Like, the Phoenix count's already high. The Corruptors also need to be a high count.
Well, he's also going to get carriers out really quick. I was about to start talking about any pulse crystals for those, but never mind. Throw me for a loop. Carriers are an interesting choice for a lot of many different reasons. But anyways, go back to the island base for a second. He did take the island base. He's going to have air control. He knows that that's why he's comfortable taking this. But something we've been consistently seeing is that Corruptors just kind of fly in and caustic spray the building, and you can't warp in stalkers enough. Having a couple cannons isn't enough. I'm actually worried that GunGFuBanDa might not be able to stabilize this island base as safe as it looks at a glance.
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly see that. So it looks like there's double drops. I mean, TLO was on top of this, even if he didn't necessarily scout it. He just knew the other third wasn't taken. So
well,
almost blind gets the overloads over here.
Yeah, I didn't expect ling drops to be what was going to work here.
Well, because usually they're not like for whatever. Well, the Phoenix is supposed to find the overlords. I think that's why this usually doesn't happen.
You can actually save this. Usually the case is like, oh, you don't have enough Phoenix to lift up all the lings for that ling attack.
They keep on derping out so much.
Yeah, the air blockers is still... I really love the idea of air blockers, and if anything right now for StarCraft 2's multiplayer, I wish they'd improve the AI so they could actually build these sort of air blockers into more maps. Because right now the problem with that derping isn't because GunGFuBanDa is bad, it's because the AI really doesn't know how to interact with it still. It was even worse beforehand when they had 4 of the island bases instead of just 2.
Yeah. The Overlord drops aren't going to stop, apparently, and really, in the grand scheme of things, I suppose, he's going to be focusing a lot on what to do against the air. A couple of minerals thrown to lings is not that big of a deal, and a couple of drop Overlords aren't that big of a deal either. They're really not that expensive to turn into drop Overlords. But, you know, eventually, if there's cannons up and whatnot, this will not be a worthwhile investment. It will be much more of a focus on the air war than it already can be.
Well, I don't know about a war per se. It's gonna be 2, maybe 4 carriers if he's lucky against these corruptors, which are, by the way, specifically designed to do bonus damage versus massive. Let's not forget about that. Caustic Spray comes down as expected. There is no way to save this Nexus.
No, there's not. There's not a pylon off to the left side, so can't even scare him away with a potent overcharge.
Speaking of peeing on things.
Yeah, that's true. It's perfectly timed for the chat.
Yeah, I should ask you if you've ever been in a trough. Those are the worst. Oh my god, but more on that later. Banley's looking to pop off on that wall. They want to knock this down, but it's not quite happening. Phoenix is trying to dogfight with the Corruptors. Will always be a mistake. They have Onion Pulse Crystals. They can technically outrange the Corruptors. There's no reason to actually be flying amidst them.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when there's 14 to 7. The carrier count's not really high enough to take on the Corruptors either, unless they have help, like Guardian Shield or Potent Overcharge. I think it's just that TLO expected this, reacted well against it, obviously has practiced against it. GunGFu got no surprises here, he got no luck here.
Wing Wangs up for Harambe. I want to point out, by the way, if GunGFuBanDa had dumped the interceptors and flown away with the carriers, that may have actually worked out better for him. Unfortunately, not taking advantage of their very unique ability, loses out, he dumps them, but only after it's too late and he's lost pretty much everything. So this is Caustic Spray is the main. There's still nothing to really deal with the Corruptors. Hive Tech comes up next. I think it's safe to say GunGFuBanDa is out. The supply doesn't look so bad and out of the game, but the type of supply it is, yeah, GG. Congratulations to TLO. Takes the first game here in the Losers Bracket Finals for this best of 3. Again, the reminder is that your prize for winning this is a chance at that last qualifying spot versus Hero Marine. So see if you can carry on through. Quick break though as we hop into the next game, and we'll see you guys soon. Alright folks, we're back. We're in the lobby. You haven't missed anything. The reason we're throwing in these ads, guys, is because they are taking a while to get like 10 people in the lobby, get the players situated, sorted, hosted, etc. So yeah, there's been no hold up as far as I'm aware. We're just waiting for everyone to ready up. So King Sejong Station will be map number 2.
I'm looking on Reddit right now, and someone just posted something about Ting and their customer experience with them.
Interesting. On StarCraft Reddit or what?
Yeah. That they asked if it was the same like Ting that has Neeb. Customer service responded like, yeah, it's favorite Protoss. Interesting stuff, but I found the comments funnier where someone was like, why'd you like not continually block out your name? And he was like, I got lazy.
So he just like started to like black it out and like...
just gave up.
That is some commitment right there. Thank you to Pepsi. I have no jokes about this. 8 months on that resub, says keep up the great work. Actually, here's a question. This is for the audience more than you, but also applies to you. Did any of you guys ever play that really terrible PlayStation game called Pepsi Man?
No.
You would literally be like this dude in like a silver skin suit type thing. He had the Pepsi logo on, and you're just running away from obstacles and running through missions from like this weird point of view. But the worst part about it was the fucking music in the background. It'd be like, Pepsi Man, Pepsi Man, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, Pepsi Man, like just on repeat for like half an hour.
Doesn't even sound like a real thing.
This is real. I need to like I need to YouTube this is what I need to do. But okay, before we do that, guys, in game number 2 here for the Losers Bracket Finals, spawning in the bottom right side. He's down the game. He tried some interesting tactics. They didn't work. Let's see what he's got in store for game 2. It's GunGFuBanDa.
I am not watching the right person. I am okay. In the top left as the blue Zerg, it is Liquid TLO. I was watching Emil, which I've done before on accident. And I remember his observing is so fucking weird, and it just happened again.
I'm gonna observe Emil for this. I've never done that before.
Please don't.
Okay, just for a little bit. I'm on Emil's camera. I want to see what you're talking about. Because
what he just did when I was really confused was that he introed GunGFu, and then he just went to the bottom left of King Sejong and stayed there for like 4 seconds. And I was like, wait a second.
Oh, and I guess right now is he introing TLO? What was that?
I'm not sure.
It just feels like
probes.
Emil, I hope you know we're judging you right now, bro. By the way,
something that anyone has ever done.
For everyone out there, like, we love all our caster bros, like Naruto from Take TV. You got Emil. You got combination of like Funka and like TKL and a ton of the guys from O Gaming. I never know who's casting for O Gaming, to be honest, because they're usually all using different accounts. But Emil's a good buddy of ours. This is it's not making fun of him like a bully. This is just learning and seeing what
He really likes to zoom in on shit.
he does. Like that Overlord was really cool. I mean, like he comes into the
I
base
wonder
for
if
that
he just
scout.
keeps like zooming in on whatever he's talking about. He's like, in this Overlord right here, that's a really important scout, but not as important as the lings that are over here.
By the way, someone in the chat, Grim TV says, BaseTradeTV, are you guys going to be at DreamHack Austin 2017? I will tell you this right now. If there's anything for StarCraft, we'll make efforts to go, most likely. Although,
Yes.
I can't guarantee anything beyond that. This
Right,
probe is
so-
mining. Next to that Nexus, it's Chronode. And this other probe is also mining.
I'm just gonna. You remember you're not even the one controlling. Anyway.
Why is he twisting the camera? What's happening? This is, by the way, such a
It's
stylistic,
super.
subjective thing. There's nothing to do. Like, there's nothing. This is weird. You're right. It's not
Well-
wrong. It's just weird. Like, there's an adept going over here, but we're watching a zoomed-in Nexus and legs. Emil, please.
Zooming is real. So, as far as anyone can tell, because ticket sales for Austin actually when it went up like yesterday or 2 days ago, is that there's no StarCraft. They
Yeah.
say the main 3 games, and they say like additional ones potentially to come or something big like that.
The problem with that, though, is like I don't even think that's DreamHack saying they don't want StarCraft necessarily. It's Blizzard still hasn't probably even
Right.
planned out 2017. Like if you guys remember, like this got 2016 came out after season 1 had started. Like how does that work? Like
Yeah.
I have no idea if they've got plans for that or not, but we'll find out with time to come. Unfortunately, despite even all our cool knowledge of like going behind the scenes into the summit and learning all this super secret stuff, we still don't know. Like there's literally nothing we've heard about it. Thank you, by the way, to Stream Grill. Just up to the channel. New sub hype. And she comes in and drops an ace, please. Very nice. I like. But anyways, back on regular observing now, because I can't. I just feels weird.
Can't. Okay. It was a really different style of observing, so you can see why I always know, like, wait, something's up. So, Evolution Chamber already on the way. Probably just gonna be for +1, not for drops.
I hope this is real. Someone said that the Pepsi Man actually gets speed ran at Games Done Quick.
I didn't get to catch that. I only catch so much of games.
Can someone find the speed run of that? I want to show Zombie Grove after the cast. We need a link ready and
I mean, I
available.
could Google it. Like,
You just need
Get
to hear
around
it for
to
like
it.
10 seconds and then you're done. You're just like so done after that.
fine, I'll do it. Pepsi Man.
Pepsi Man. Anyways, all these things aside, TLO still darting around the map with these leggings, mostly just scouting. Not really a lot to see for the time being. He saw the third, he didn't get to the main, but to be honest, there's nothing. Scouting this with an Overlord would have been nice, but not necessary. There's nothing really big coming out of it. Immortals are to be expected. You guess about that War Prism in the depths. As we can see, he's already positioned and ready for it, so nicely done. You call it blind, you call it intuitive, either way, it just goes back to the fact that Protoss are really expected to play a certain way. I'm not trying to take shots fired at our earlier discussion, but it is just so expected to talk about it as almost boring, and players of TLO's stature and caliber are so smart that you expect them to know it.
I am watching this game. I mean, first I watched a parody video where they actually did live person.
Oh, you're watching the Pepsi Man thing right now?
Yeah, and now I'm watching the video and he's stuck in the trash can.
Dude, the music, though, is so annoyingly catchy.
Wow, they're purposefully not picking up the Pepsis. This bothers me.
That's the point. You're the Pepsi Man. You're supposed to pick up the Pepsis. Or do you deliver them?
He just goes to people's houses. He's really rude as fuck.
He is. That's Pepsi Man. It actually, the whole concept of that game just feels like a Japanese commercial.
This is so weird. Well,
Okay.
now I know. I like
War-
this better.
The War Prism didn't lose any of the Adepts, and we actually have a pretty big follow-up coming out of this for GunGFuBanDa. TLO has +1 weapons, and I really like this, but his Baneling nest is actually still not finished, and he's going to be a while off till he has a proper amount of Banelings. Just Emil and zoomed in like that. I'm actually worried for TLO on this attack. Best case scenario, when he pushes GunGFuBanDa back, GunGFuBanDa likely recalls too. I don't think he takes too much serious damage from this. In fact, I love the split of the War Prism to distract on one side and attack with the other. You look left and I go right. It's a Kansas City shuffle. Looking for hits on the Mothership core. He specifically wanted to prevent the recall. Good
Yeah.
try, good try. Drone kills aren't that bad, though, by the way. Despite the fact that there's a lot of action going around, dancing on this left side, TLO responds by pulling the drones away. Only 2 drones die through this entire attack on 2 separate bases.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't really know exactly what has been talked about for this game, as I looked up Pepsi Man, but I do want to note that GunGFu's finally doing a more normal build. I mean, I thought he was last game, then he did the new Gettysburg build, basically, which obviously TLO was very, very confident against. So he finally something a little more normal. It is Disruptors, though, not Immortals.
The new Gettysburg build, air quotes here on that, by the way, it's kind of like the Terran Rax without gas, where you're proxying Marines. You're kind of like, well, this probably works 1 in 10 games, but everyone insists on using it, so why?
They want to have some fun, man. They want to change up the style. Duh.
Air is more fun, and I think there's actually this rule to the matchup. We've seen it before through the longer, slower games. There actually is no way to beat a fully, properly maxed out Protoss army. Like when you get that golden armada, when you get storms underneath it. That game with Neeb versus Snoot, excuse me, kind of.
What is a Sneet?
I don't know.
Sounds like something.
I was kind of thinking like it was a neat game and started to say
Like
Snoot. Okay.
Like a sneeze and a bite to eat.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah, I
what you
sneeted.
and spit it out all over the place. It's a diet tactic. Sneeting. It's a real thing. It prevents you from swallowing the food, thus you don't acquire the calories. Is this not a common thing in the States? Hello?
It's either that or it's like a drug on the street, you know?
What is that? It's like that old Fred Penner or Raffi song, whatever. I like to eat apples and bananas, right? And then you like replace the vowels. You ever hear the song?
No.
I like to eat apples and banana. Well, anyways, point is, you're like, I like to sneet.
Oh my god, you're making a real point though.
That's the worst part. Thank you, Zombie Grub. This is like you not eating my head. It's just making me feel terrible right now.
There's that picture of me on the bike.
Yeah, exactly. Nice recall on a GunGFuBanDa. TLO could have focused on the mothership core, but the mutants were busy attacking elsewhere, so escapes with his army mostly intact.
Right.
Where is that picture of you on the bicycle jamming your head into it? Fucking Rifkin.
Oh, TLO has to be careful about this.
He
has some
sacrificed.
feelings about that.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of the army that would have chewed through this. Stalkers playing forward, +2 weapons, have no problem taking on those mutalisks, and frankly, TLO's low-tier army isn't going to hold up to this. If he was up on Infestors and had a couple of those in play, mixed in something like Corruptors or Broodlords, then this is a different story. But while he's heading that direction, he's not there yet, and this is really worrisome because GunGFuBanDa actually doesn't have anything to push him back a second time, I feel.
It's scary. TLO's really on basic units here, and mutas count as basic units, but they're not in high number. And that's a lot of stalkers. I don't.
They
but
are.
they're both being very careful.
They're the pumpkin spice lattes of the sky.
They really are until there's thousands of them, and then then they're a real threat.
White girls. Thank you, Novacraft, for subbing to the channel and enduring our silliness. Shots getting fired on the Disruptor, looking for the Banley hits, but the Banleys, of course, managed to run away thanks to the fact that everybody here is on creep. Party goes down, Mutalisks come in, they focus the mothership core initially, but then stop?
What?
It's like he wanted to prevent a recall and realized he was taking too much damage in the process. I don't know, that was really weird. The mothership core lives. She ends up throwing on a time warp because he assumed that she was going to die and didn't want to back away from the fight, but now with 77 army supply over 40, TLO's making purely lings and DTs at this point. Actually have no detection.
No, they don't.
Queen takes out the mothership core, but GG gets called. GunGFuBanDa ties it up 1-1.
Uh-oh.
This is already going better than his previous 4 games or whatever it is versus TLO on the track record. 3, excuse me, because it's 2-0 into a 1-0. We'll see if he can keep it up. I mean, really, it's this next game that matters the most because this will determine who goes through. And GunGFuBanDa, if he can pull something off, it doesn't matter whether it's cheese or macro. If he pulls it off, he'll knock TLO out and go on to that finals qualifying match. That being said, apparently we don't know the third map, so once again, time for a commercial. We'll see you guys soon. Alright folks, back just in time to see the load screen for game number 3, Frozen Temple. Wow, what a surprise! I can't believe we found this map!
Lost Temple. Wait a minute.
If this was Lost Temple, that would be surprising. That would be like, we took a really wrong left turn somewhere.
Into the 2012s. Yeah.
It's not where we are, it's when we are.
Not where, Marty. When.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 3. This determines everything, as this is the losers bracket finals. Winner goes on to play against Hero Marine. One more best of 5 comes up after this, guaranteed. But we got to find out who fights him. Spawning the bottom right side, I once again bring you the blue Protoss GunGFuBanDa.
The top left as the red Zerg. He's Liquid TLO.
So where do you feel that fell apart for TLO? Because he was making a lot of really cool moves, right? Like forcing him back. Like he didn't stop a recall, but he forced the recall out. Didn't take a lot of damage from the Adepts and that Warp Prism. What for you was that point where you're like, damn, TLO, you goofed?
He overcommitted to the 4th base, I think.
That's a fair point, actually. I was actually going to think of another one, but that's actually a pretty good point, too.
What was yours?
For me, it was just like the fact that he had, I'm going to say, like, inefficiently used the Banelings and then still tried to take that fight, where you're like, if you just ran away entirely, sure, you would have still lost a couple units, but maybe you would have been able to reconcile enough to fight for real.
Yeah. I also haven't been too impressed with TLO's mutas. It's not that his control is bad, or like the decision to go for mutas is bad. It's just that I think the games that we've seen him go for mutas, not just straight up to corruptors, have not worked out for him in the ways that we've seen other Zergs have it work out.
So what I find interesting on that point is I really like his mutas in terms of, okay, it gives you a bit of control. Maybe you pick up a couple probes. Who cares about that aspect of it? Because it keeps the Warp Prism from camping your base and pushes things back that would otherwise be a problem for you. And the best part for me, too, is like he doesn't commit to them, right? Like he doesn't throw in 20 mutas and go for upgrades. Like it is simply for that element of control with the idea, I think, of Broodlords later. My concern is that maybe that's too predictable.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I like all of those reasons to go for mutas. I don't think it's a bad thing to include, and certainly other Zergs do it too. It's just that one time yesterday, TLO managed to snipe the Mothership recall and won the game because of it. That was pretty sick with the mutas barely making it out in time. But the other like 2 or 3 times I think we've seen him recently go for mutas in this matchup, they just they kind of fizzle. He only gets 5. He doesn't, he ever makes the Protoss really worry, go like, oh shit, do I need Phoenix? Which is like one potential of the mutas. He doesn't seem to get a lot of damage done or pull the Protoss apart, or really get any control whatsoever. A lot of Protosses, I feel, are a lot more confident lately to push against someone with a Spire, as opposed to panic and go for double Stargates and play the defensive game. And that's where I think it's really hard for the Zerg to hold on, is when they're only at 5 or 7 mutas and they're being pushed with a tech superior army. It doesn't always occur like that, and TLO could certainly try and go for mutas again and maybe make it work. But Frozen Temple, he's been going for Roach Ravager. Was this a map where he got to Broodlords eventually? I think once he did, yes.
Because yeah, I think it was was it Frost where they were in the weird position, or was that on Frozen Temple as well? No, I actually don't remember.
I just remember one game where he was sieging up the 4th base of someone with Broodlords. That's all I remember. On Frozen Temple, so I forget when that was or who it was against. Oh well.
Alright, well, Resonating Glaives finishing up in just a moment's time. We're talking about predictable things, actually, just going back to this for a moment. Like, it is expected. There's going to be Adepts. There's going to be Resonating Glaives. The thing you're looking for is whether there's a Warp Prism with them or not. And for TLO, well, he can't get to the main to scout that. Just by being active with his Lings and knowing where these Adepts are, he'd see that Warp Prism, pick them up, fly over. But, of course, we know that's not the case. GunGFuBanDa is going to get weird once again.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be ultimately Carriers and Tempests, which it didn't have to be on New Gettysburg, but is like more likely on New Gettysburg. I think this is going to be a surprise 12, 14 Phoenixes. We'll see if it's a surprise, though. I mean, first of all, it could be scouted, and second of all, he could just go out in the map with 6 Phoenix and show them like that. See what happens. TLO is going to be focused on clearing up the Adepts first, which, once again, he kind of just shows these roaches like, hey, I made units, I don't think you can get freebies here. And GunGFu, yeah. It's just like, it's such a scary thought to see that and know that you don't know if there's like 1,000 Lings behind it. right? Like they could be attacking you, and you need those adepts alive, not trying to get around the army. Or even if they weren't attacking, they would still have enough defenses.
Well, as the adepts push in, TLO does pull the drones away. I love this. I mean, like, it costs him a link to scout it, but it saves him the potential whole base for the drones. It's a small pull-off, but it's worth it if it means that those adepts don't get to kill anything.
Yeah. Once again, with that +1, I really like his Ling upgrades, even if he does roaches.
He was so perfectly positioned for this, but that being said, adept damage is so pretty nasty against Lings and has trouble pushing these off. Transfer goes through to the main. He's just running after them, but this should allow the adepts to actually escape. Oh no, he actually goes through the transfer to the main. Oh, he's so confident he's gonna get a lot of drone kills for this. 10 already, so he might not be wrong on that front. 15, 16.
I'm really surprised that TLO pulled the drones into the adepts there.
It may have just been a situation where he realized like, it was too late to pull them away. Like he was a little bit slow to the draw, so it was better than just losing them as they ran away. I don't know. He tried to wall off, as we said that for a moment, guys, to keep the adepts from escaping. So either way, he wanted to deal with them here and now.
He didn't scout the phoenixes, by the way. So GunGfu could have waited even longer and had like 8 phoenixes. Bam, surprise. And that could have been a lot of lost queens in the front lines or units on the front lines.
I think Phoenix, though, inspires a certain interesting dynamic here where TLO is already heading towards the direction of Lings, and he's been playing Lings in the previous games, and he's already got melee upgrades invested into. The Phoenixes, they never fare well when there's a lot of Lings in play.
Yeah, it's hard to pick up 1,000 Lings, isn't it? But, I mean, this is a decent amount of roaches, too, and there's only so much energy on the Phoenixes, but warp-in, spoken overcharge is never going to be the gotcha moment of, like, I'm going to kill your third because you only have Phoenixes. He will get a Cyber Core.
I don't know, it's getting kind of close. He does get it. Wow.
But is that really such a big deal? I mean, GunGfu can't warp into more Stalkers. They're already been upgraded, though, so he can just replant that and wait for it.
So it's not too devastating in that regard, but it is worth noting GunGFuBanDa has gone for air weapon upgrades anytime he's gone air, so this does stall that out a bit and takes some of the power away from the Phoenix. I mean, I don't think it's, again, like, it's really not the biggest deal of things that could have happened, but still interesting to see. Adepts are also posing a bit of a problem here to this drone line. Once again, let's play Ring Around the Rosie. 10 more drones died. Total of 30 dead for TLO this game.
Oh, it wasn't even the Phoenixes. It was the Adepts doing so much damage initially, plus the Phoenixes after. Because TLO did have a couple of Spore Crawlers. It's just that I don't think it anticipated this many Phoenixes following up such a devastating attack.
No, and I'm actually surprised the Phoenixes more so aren't chasing the Overlords and policing those down. We've actually seen games where players have to make 18-something Overlords because they just keep losing them over and over and over again to these Phoenix openers.
I think he realizes that he could be getting things that are in the middle of the map. Transfers of drones, queens that are too far away. Key units, like if TLO tries to make Ravagers, you pick that up, kill it pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is a tough spot, because not only does TLO kind of have to turtle around these mass Spore Crawlers, by the way, I love the mass Spore Crawlers. Not only does he have to turtle around these, he can't push out and cause counter damage, he can't safely transfer those drones, as pointed out, and just in general, has to play defensive when in every way he probably wishes he was across the map doing something himself.
Yeah. Now, GunGfu did stop at 8 Phoenix, so not a surprisingly terrible, obnoxious amount, but certainly enough, especially if they regain energy, to be an important part of the game. And they've done damage in a lot of different ways, as we just went over. So now that he's transferred over into a ground army, we'll see, like, you know, how much that damage really amounted to, like how weak TLO's army will probably look in a second here, as it is, again, those basic units. They're not well upgraded at all either, only the Lings. The Banelings do not have Baneling speed. The Roaches don't have Roach speed. Yeah, TLO's just going to give up this base. He realizes he can't take it on an army like that, but, I mean, I like the split he just did. He actually only sent the Lings. He brought the Roaches back home, so he wouldn't lose his third, or try not to lose his third, but his army is lower in army supply, and I just think inferior in army type. Oh, he's bringing the Queens now, too. All in time. And this is timing out with 1-1. This could be his chance.
Chance to use that Spore Crawler. I mean,
but I thought things gonna go right for him.
The funny thing about this is the anti-air is not necessarily the problem here. I actually don't know if he has an adequate ground army if there was no air in play.
It's TLO's army, I mean, especially going up a ramp like this, he's gonna have to use the Curse of Biles to build the, to break the force fields, rather, and GunGfu actually has enough sentries, or energy to get sentries, to continue putting down force fields, and TLO, he wants to go for this all-in. It was pretty well timed with all of his upgrades, just can't. Now GunGFu's got all his upgrades and more immortals. TLO's just... The armor spot doesn't reflect it, but he's really... Oh my god, I didn't even realize he didn't have a lair. Oh,
okay.
Well that explains his upgrade choices too, because he usually gets +2 melee.
That's a problem for a lot of different reasons, but I was just going to comment. We got disruptors coming up on deck now, and even if there was a layer, and even if there was the idea of mutas and other things, those disruptors will just run train on the ground. Picks up one of the Ravagers, backs away, doesn't want to actually commit to killing it. TLO moving towards that fourth. Both players actually, it's interesting because the money game here isn't really the problem, and a lot of it's the tech game, especially for TLO. No chance to get infestors.
The attempt at a surround of the stalkers is cool.
Yeah, it was. But going back, I was just gonna say, like, if there's infestors, for example, blink stalkers aren't a problem. Phoenixes aren't a problem. You lock everything in place, and the Ravagers bring the damage with the Corrosive Biles. We've seen this happen all too many times with other matchups, but unfortunately, I think TLO probably has all these wonderful ideas of like what he'd like to do. GunGFuBanDa is doing everything in his power to make sure that that happens as slow as possible.
Like that slow layer was really truly devastating, and not because of the upgrades like +2 or centrifugal hooks, but I think that because he couldn't advance his tech to an infestation pit, he couldn't go for like a Hail Mary Spire or Greater Spire, you know, trying to get to the hive, which he would never get to, but it could have been one of those like, please love God, maybe I can. No chance the lair is that late.
Well, the engagement angle's not too bad for TLO, and some of the Banelings actually make it through the army and connect with the Immortals. Take out the Adepts. He's going to try and make the most of this. Let's not forget GunGFuBanDa's army supply. You got a minus like 20 because it's in those Phoenix, and they aren't necessarily that useful right now. As the numbers start dwindling, they'll become more effective, but TLO pushes this back. Impressively so, I gotta say.
Yeah, he took an engagement kind of on creep. It was a little bit awkward for him, and blinking his stalkers all back too. It's
the battle though, and not the war. With disruptors coming up next, a lot of TLO's army can easily be picked off by GunGFuBanDa. But for TLO, this wasn't just about maybe getting a couple kills and pushing this off as fourth. It was about just trying to keep pushing through. He's not making more drones. He's not transferring anything over. He's looking to just keep making more lings and more banelings.
Yeah. This might be his best choice, but the Disruptor's going to scare him off. The amount of Stalkers, honestly, that are about to have +3 are still scary, too.
Yeah. I mean, it might not be armored units, but Stalkers still deal a ton of damage to those, to anything they pick off. Oh, we got some DTs coming through, but there are Spore Crawlers from the earlier Phoenix, so they won't be completely uncontested. But this, the natural base is nasty. He realizes it, too. Pulls away. Drones really not sure what they want to do to try and stop this.
Oh, things are getting worse. Things were maybe, like, okay, maybe TLO continues taking really good fights, but as it takes more economic damage, he can't continue pressuring GunGFu on 4 bases now, doing his upgrades. He could even try and start a transition to the Tempest, if he really wanted to, but also just accruing a bank for remaxing, fine as well.
I actually don't know how good Tempest would be in this situation.
I don't think they'd be an answer to anything necessarily, but they would be the final stage of Protoss army.
Sure enough, yeah. Start bulking them up.
It's really just, its point is he can do whatever he wants, and you know, this would be one of those things if he didn't have constant scouting with the Phoenix, he might even be afraid that somehow TLO already got to Aspire in a hive, and he would be like cautionary getting Tempest, but he has had constant scouting, and he knows that the hive was like recently started. I think he managed to scout that, but if not that it was still a lair, which is still a long time.
How sick does this game become, by the way, if TLO actually manages to win another fight? Because if he does, this might... Well, actually, GunGFuBanDa is still expanding, so I take that back. Hold on. Talk about that more in a moment. Disruptor's looking for those shots. He's not going to be able to run away. Hits a good chunk of the Ravagers. Looking to hit only one of the Queens with that second shot. Not looking so hot with these follow-ups. That was a pretty good Disruptor shot that time around, and TLO supply drops harshly. Oh my god, down to 54 army supply. Corsair Gears don't land in that Warp Prism. He's having struggles taking that out, so reinforcements are going to be here, and I think GunGFuBanDa is about to knock out the German hero, TLO.
GG.
Congratulations, GunGFuBanDa, but you're not done with your day just yet. Of course, he has one more match he has to play, and it's going to be against Hero Marine. Now, before we get into that, I do want to stress Hero Marine already showed some problems when fighting in the winner's bracket against Showtime. That was a very one-sided match, and it looked very... Again, like, Hero Marine I don't think was playing bad. He just doesn't play well against the matchup, is my best guess.
We'll see what it looks like with a different player.
It's a different player, right? It's a different Protoss. It might actually be more cheesier, and he'll be better defending against that than say he would like late game. I don't know. Either way, we will be going to a small break though while we get that set up. I don't know if they've already done vetoes or how that works, but either way, guys, grand finals is going to be a best of 5 TVP when we come back. So thank you very much for watching BaseTradeTV. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Make sure to check out our YouTube, youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button over there. We've got some co-op content, but of course, any of the games you missed today will be uploaded there ASAP.